Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Saturday Morning Empower Hour. We strive to go ahead and bring insane value to you, the individual agent and agency owners, empowering you to go ahead and take your business to the next level. And of course, we really focus a lot on telesales, and I am super excited this morning to go ahead and have Mr. Caleb Coombes on, Hall of Fame producer, agency owner of Foundation Capital Group. Caleb, welcome to the Empower Hour, man. Good morning.
Thank you, sir. Morning, bro. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thanks for taking the time to pour into the team, with all your knowledge in mortgage protection. I can't wait to kind of uncover, some what you have to go ahead and say, talking about your process and everything. One of the things that we like to do, Caleb, starting off, is kind of get to know the agent, right, a little bit before we kind of unpack everything. And so I'm just going to ask you, a couple questions about, where you're originally from. You're a young man, but you were like on a fast track, bro. And one of the things, all right, so let's start here. I like kind of digging into social media a little bit, right? And one of the fun things that I found out about you is, all right, so you're the oldest of two or three brothers?
No, you got to dig farther. I am the
Oh,
child. I'm the middle child of seven.
oh my God. All
Yeah.
right. You know why I said that, right? All right. Because I found out you are not only an incredible agent, but you got a voice, man. You can belt it out because your mom shared a video of you and two of your brothers, right? And you were singing to Mary Did You Know? Man, you got
That was
some.
a while ago.
Yeah, that was really good. How long ago was that, man?
I don't know. I was probably 16, so
16?
like 7 years ago.
Man, I'm jealous. I can't sing a lick, man. I am completely tone deaf. You do not want to hear me sing, that's for sure. That's awesome, man. Incredibly gifted. But one of the things that I found out, dude, that I don't have to dig too far, right? Is family's extremely important to you, right? You're married to, your beautiful bride, Stephanie, right? And you just had a baby. Tell us a little bit about that. How old's your baby?
4 months.
4 months. What's
Quick.
that? 4 months already?
4 months, yeah. I know that.
Wow.
It's weird.
So that's awesome. Lifestyle change, right?
It did, yeah. Not too
Yeah.
much. Not too much. I think it starts with, and I know we'll go into it. I think it starts a lot mentally. So I was mentally ready. I was ready to go. So it didn't change too much, but definitely some things have changed. Like we're always late to stuff now. So that's
Yeah.
not my favorite thing.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. And like I said, family's so important to you. I saw you, holding up your baby niece, right?
Yeah.
And so you're middle child of seven. How many brothers, how many sisters?
Five brothers, one sister.
Five brothers, one sister.
Yeah.
Wow, that's one thing we have in common. Not seven siblings total, or but we had four in my family, and one sister. And my sister was the first girl born in 65 years in the Womble family. And
Wow.
so your sister must be a tough cookie, I bet.
Oh yeah, she gets everything she wants. She was a favorite. Always got her.
As she should be. That's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about, originally where you're from, where you were raised, and how you kind of got started into family first life. And prior to that, some things that you like to do. What does Caleb, do to keep busy and have fun, right? Outside of FFL.
Sure. So, Caleb, nice to meet you guys. I met several of you already. I'm 21, live in Florida. We were talking about this right beforehand. I was raised in New Hampshire, so I am not a Florida boy. I'm not a heat guy. I do the cold. So snow, 10 degrees, that's my favorite thing. So that's where I was raised. Moved over to Chicago for college. So obviously climate didn't change too much. Went there for about a year and a half and then dropped out to get married. And because it wasn't for me, not necessarily college, but what I was going for. I was working for Joe at another company. He was doing security. So we were doing security systems. And then he was like, bro, I've got this opportunity. And then I took him up on it. But before that, I've always been in sales. So anything sales wise has always caught my attention. I don't know, I was 8, 9 years old selling like comic books and cookies in church every week to the same people. When I was 12, and a lot of people don't know these things, I was 12, I started a wedding business. So I always was into interior designing. And I was literally putting on people's weddings, the entire beginning to end, planning them, the decorating. And then I was 15 and I started a magazine. We ended up becoming an international magazine, sold that company, and then went to college and started this. So I did a
Wow.
lot. It's weird because I look back and I'm like, man, it feels like it was a long time ago, but I'm only 21. It was not that far.
No, it's not. Wow, that's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
I never knew that. That's incredible. So you're part of Joe Basso's Group 320, and take note, warm market works, right? And you're also growing an agency, and we'll get into that in a little bit, right? Um, Now you've been doing it for how many years now?
Technically 3. I'm coming on my 3rd year.
Coming on your 3rd year,
Yep.
and you've hit Hall of Fame how many times?
This is my first.
This is
So
your first.
yeah, we're starting year 3 here. So first time hitting Hall of Fame. Just missed
Got
it.
it. All right. So really, your second full, your all right. Were you? Was it a full year your first year, or like how many
Yeah.
months?
Yeah. So I had year 1, 22, and then obviously we just finished 23. So starting up year 3 here.
And how many families did you protect in your first year?
320.
Whoo, so close, man. So close. That's awesome. First year, 320. Dang, that's incredible. And so now your second full year, you absolutely crushed it, right? You did more than double that. You helped 703 families this past year, right? Incredible, while building a team, right? That's awesome. Now, you've been doing telesales since day one, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And were you always mortgage protection?
For the most part, yeah. I've taken breaks, tried to do final expense, but I've always found my way home to mortgage protection.
Okay. I love mortgage protection. You know, I started out with final expense and gravitated towards it. I was a little, I don't know, gun shy with mortgage protection. Were you a little nervous with it? You've been in sales for a long time and you're a real confident guy. I know that, right? And the way you carry yourself and everything else, you're just you have a very strong mindset. That's a positive thing. And so, did you head into mortgage protection like I'm just going to go tackle it, or were you a little nervous about it?
Oh, I was nervous. Yeah, no, believe me, guys, I can be confident about stuff, but I can still get nervous. And I think that goes for all of us. But
Yeah.
I got nervous because I didn't know what to say. Right. People have always said I could sell ice to Eskimos, which is true, but I know what ice is and I know who Eskimos are. Right. It's the same thing here. I didn't know what mortgage protection was. So of course I was nervous. Um, but I'd say, and I'm sure we'll get into it, biggest obstacle was me. It had nothing to do with the product, nothing to do with the questions, the rebuttals. But I was nervous at first for sure.
That's a big point, man, because it's one thing to be confident and have an air of confidence, but inside we always have these insecurities,
Yeah.
right, about ourselves. So let's break that down a little bit. I think that before we can go, confidently sell, or protect families, right? It all starts with our mindset. Tell us a little bit about how you tackle, your insecurities, self doubts, things like that.
Sure. So I won't go into detail too much, but years ago, I say like I'm not old, 4 years ago, there was a situation in my life which was pretty bad. A lot of people wouldn't have ever imagined going through it. And I am telling you, huge reason why I ended up moving. I lost every friend. Everybody in the world was against me. That's how it felt, right? I think we all go through something like that. Feels like everyone's against you, but literally, I had everybody against me. Family was the closest thing at that point. And I think that's what started initially because I never grown up, never had the self-doubt, right? I always was confident. If anything was a little too confident growing up. And during that situation, that's where I determined, look, no matter what other people say, how they react to me, how they act towards me, what they do towards me, I'm still in control of what goes on ahead of my life, regardless. Right. So I'm the one who decides to take how they are towards me and let it impact me or not. So I'd say that was a huge part of my life that helped structure where I'm going to go, what direction I'm going to take, how I'm going to react to situations. So I'd say in the beginning, obviously around 16, 17, when everything was going on, I had a ton of self-doubt, right? I literally had no friends, nobody. Went into college, it was just me and Steph. And that was a big reason too. I was like, look, I'd always prayed. So a lot of random details here, guys, but I think they all play into each other. I had always my entire life, I prayed. I was like, I know it's weird, not to date around. Parents are always like, look, date 3, 4, 5 people so you know who you like. I was always like, God, I want to date one girl, marry her, that's it. I don't want to be like these guys who date 25 girls in college. That's weird. And I ended up meeting Steph. She was with me within the whole situation. She was one person who stuck by my side. So I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the one. And with that, obviously, you find the people that support you. That's a huge thing. And then obviously we left, got married, and the rest is history. So I think that's a huge thing that plays into, the role here that I have coming into this industry. It wasn't easy at first, but obviously things progress and they get better. So I'd say that's what helped a lot. I had a lot of structuring. It's the foundation. And that's why I labeled our team Foundation Capital Group. The foundation starts at home. The foundation for your business starts at home. It starts in your mind. Obviously, your mindset's a huge thing. If your mindset sucks, I mean, believe me, your business is going to suck. And I think people always tell me, look, business and personal, they're separate. Not here. Not here. Maybe in another job, but even that, I think I would disagree. I worked at Dunkin' Donuts for like a week, and that was still, believe me, they were very, very close together. So I think the foundation you have at home affects your business, and the foundation you have a business affects your home. So you've got to make sure both are on track.
I love that, man. I love that. So you have a strong faith, obviously, right?
For sure.
That's key. And one of the other things is you had the ability to, whenever you go through something like that, in life where, people abandon you and everything else, right? And they're talking smack or anything, whatever, you learn to eliminate the outside noise.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's key. Because sometimes even when you go do a new venture, like I got a new job, it's funny how a lot of people will go ahead and support you in getting a new job that pays you $15 or $16 an hour when you left one that paid 14. They'll fully support you in a, hey man, keep going, right? But if you step out and you say, I'm going to go do X and I'm going to become an entrepreneur and go do the life insurance business, some of your closest friends, family will go ahead and say, nah, man, that's not going to work, right? Because it's actually their fears that they're projecting upon you. And so you have to eliminate that outside noise. So, congrats to you on that. And then it sounds like loyalty is also very important to you too, because Stephanie's stuck by your side.
100%. Yep. Two-way street.
Would you consider yourself a very loyal person as well?
I would. Yeah. I mean, to an extent, I think we all got to remember that there's an extent that loyalty comes to. But yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, that also comes down to you set boundaries.
Exactly. And that's the problem that most of us miss. We don't set boundaries,
Yeah.
And that's where it all starts foundation wise. I mean, you've got to set boundaries at home. And I'm telling you, all this stuff we know, we're adults, but it's like, I understand now all the rules we had in place as children or the rules we have in college or at church, right? Simply because if you don't have boundaries in the foundation areas of your life, how are you going to have boundaries in business?
Exactly. I love that, man. No wonder why you're so successful, right? I love the foundation. I love the name, by the way. Let's kind of break down. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, so to speak, right? Of mortgage protection. Now, tell us a little bit about your strategy going into it. One, what type of leads are you running? I know what you're doing, but I want everybody else to know. And are you willing to try different mortgage protection leads? Are you dialing are you doing one call close? And then, well, let's start there and then I'll ask the next question.
Sure. So I'll kind of go from backwards to front. I was setting appointments in the beginning, and a lot of stuff you guys might not know. I have a lot of ideas and I like to implement them. And one thing that I love to do is always be the first person to implement them so that if they don't work, I can fix it, tell other people. As far as I know, after speaking with Sean and Joe, I think we were the first ones who have really implemented in FFL the one call close. So I remember when I first started, I was one of the first ones. Obviously, there were a few others, but one of the first ones in the industry who went virtual. Simply, I didn't have my Florida license. If you know, Florida is the absolute worst state. It is so horrible. I still don't have my Florida license. And I check up on it, and I'm just too lazy at this point. It's like, man, it's been 2 years. So I don't have a license in my home state. So I was forced to go virtual at the beginning. Um,
Right.
but appointment setting, I don't know if I would say it's been my strong suit. I think there's just a lot of people also, it goes back on the individuals. There's a lot of people who just do not like to keep their word anymore and they won't show up for an appointment. So I got sick and tired of it. I was like, I'm wasting my time. Not saying stop doing appointments, guys. If that's what's working, do it. But I was like, look, I wonder if I could get them on the phone, close the policy, and just be done. Not talking until their birthday or Christmas. And it worked the first few times. So I've been doing one call close since the beginning. Since I started, I'd say this year I've probably set less than 3 appointments. They don't work great for me. And I think if it's important to me and I convey that it should be important to the client, there's no reason they won't do it with you on the spot. So that's what I've been doing primarily the entire time. Lead wise, I'm open to any mortgage protection lead. But if they're garbage the first 3 times I try them, it's going to be a while till I do it again. So I understand people say a lead's a lead, but there are some leads that need a little work. I run a lot of the age mortgage. That's all I do, age mortgage protection. A lot from the ILC. 95% of it's from ILC. They're usually anywhere from 3 months to 2 years old. So that's primarily what I run.
And you issued 703 families on those. Correct. That's incredible. Dude, that's a lot of work. Like, that's not low hanging fruit on a tree. You got to climb up that tree to go find those people. So kudos to you. That's a lot of phone calls. That's a lot of activity. About how many leads would you say that you purchase per week?
So it depends. So I've tried. I will say I've made a good amount of money off of some other vendors that I've tried. Some of them are on social media. You all see it. Titan leads. It's not like I own them. Guys, Titan leads are pretty decent. A lot of these carriers have their discounts where they're $1 a piece. So my lead spend's very low, probably the lowest out of anybody. Lead wise, I probably buy, and don't follow my lead, guys. I'm telling you right now because people get upset. I've got a system down that works. So at the beginning, I was spending, $2,000-$3,000 a week. So believe me, this wasn't from the start. I was doing, 400 or 500 leads a week to get the numbers I had. I've been able to get it down to around 100 leads a week. So I'm calling around 100 leads, 100 to 200 leads. My lead spends around $500 weekly.
That's incredible. But there was a process to get there.
Yeah.
All right. I do want to stress that. Like, if you're new, don't say, hey, I'm going to do what Caleb was doing and expect the same results that Caleb's getting. It doesn't work like that. It's going to take a minute. Okay. Because this is your start of your 3rd year, right?
Correct.
And you started out 400 or 500. Now you're down to 100. You see, with time, you start to get better and you hone in your process, right? That's incredible, dude. And that's an insane ROI, by the way. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Now, as far as, so you're doing the one call close, you are leaving it all on the phone. When I was competing, if I had to leave everything in the gym when I was competing in bodybuilding, right? I knew that I just had to leave it all in the gym, right? You're leaving it all on the phone, right? You are taking all your shots right then and there to go ahead and get across to the client how important this is. How are you doing that? What are you doing to bring the emotion out from the client? What questions are you asking?
Sure. There's several. For starters, beneficiary always comes up within the first 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's your value. That's your key right there. You want to make sure your client exactly understands, one, why you're calling. For me, they've got to understand why I'm calling, who I am, and what I'm doing calling them within the first 30 seconds. If they don't, you've lost it. You're done. Some people might call you back, but the starter question, I'm always labeling exactly who I am, going right into, hey, who's your beneficiary? Do you understand what mortgage protection is? I want them to understand within 30 seconds why I'm calling, but I give myself around 2 minutes to go over everything and then get right into the application. I don't think this is a difficult process. I think we're the ones who make it more difficult. I mean,
Exactly.
mortgage protection is life insurance. I was just explaining to my brother-in-law who just got licensed yesterday. I was like, look, don't overthink it. This is no different than final expense insurance. It's just up to you on how important you want to make it seem to the client. Look, it's important to me, so believe me, I'm going to make it seem just as important to the client. And if they tell me they don't need it, I'm going to talk to them like they're my mother and why they do need it. So I think it goes back to how we talk to the client as well.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things I mentioned to clients, I'm like, hey, we can, this is called mortgage protection, but make no mistake about it. Like, we can call it mortgage protection, equity protection, final expense, term hold, whatever. It's all life insurance.
Yeah.
This just happens to have a few more rings and bells and whistles to it for the homeowner. That's it. And we go into the living benefit side of it. So once you find out their why, are you explaining the process that the carriers require, the information that they require prior to getting into the medical information? Are you setting those expectations ahead of time to avoid any objections on the back end?
Sort of. So I say one thing very particular. I'll say, look, if you ever purchase an auto policy, this is very similar. So what you just said there about life insurance, mortgage protection, them all being the same, I'll go into that if a client's got questions. But my way around it, here's the thing, I want it to sound important, right? So I'm explaining mortgage protection. I get a lot of people who say, well, I have life insurance. So the way I go about it is, look, mortgage protection works the same way as life insurance. We're actually going to give you life insurance with your mortgage protection. But here's the cool thing. We're going to include some living benefits, might get you some cash back or some cash value that grows with it. So there's a lot of, like you said, bells and whistles that come involved with mortgage protection. And then what I do from there is I go straight into the life insurance policies they own. So anyone who sees my numbers, I have a lot of big policies. A lot of them. And it's because I'm diving deep into exactly what policies they have at the very beginning. Because I say, look, I don't want you to double pay. If you're already protected, why would I get you this? So let's see if we can do better. And 95% of the time, you can do better. So I figure out what policies they have, go into it, explain, look, they're the same thing. We're just going to get it to you at a cheaper price, more benefits. And then we're going to go from there. The only expectation that I'll set is I'll be like, look, this is like auto insurance. So you know how they try to stack in your renters, your pet insurance, your auto. Same thing here. We're going to give you your life. We're going to give you your living benefits. We're going to call it your mortgage protection. All the same thing, but it's cheaper and better for you. Same questions. They're going to ask you for social bank info. Nothing's going to be different. If you've done this before, you should be perfectly comfortable. And then I'll go right into it with the quote.
That's awesome. So then you're going to go into, of course, you're going into the medical. We're not going to spend too much time on that, right? Now, real quick, like, there's definitely a strategy with mortgage protection, right? Because then we don't know exactly what they're going to qualify for. So we have to go ahead and determine that. Are you talking about strategy in advance of the solution? Meaning, like, you may, if you've got an older client, you're digging down into the mortgage payment, how much it is, right? So that if, hey, they got a $2,000 mortgage, that's 24 grand a year. This is what a $25,000 policy can do for you. Are you describing like how the mortgage protection is going to either pay for the home or pay for the mortgage payment, make mortgage payments for a specified length of time based on their budget? Are you going into that before you kind of go up with the solution?
Sort of. So I think it goes back to also how well you know your products and how rehearsed you are. So at the beginning, if I print all my leads out. I know it's kind of annoying, but I like to have them in front of me. If I see they're over 60, automatically, I just know I'm not going to say mortgage protection is to cover the full home. But I say mortgage protection is to make sure that we can take care of some of your payments for the next few years. If they're under 60, automatically just say it's to cover the entire home. And then I'll go into it. I present my options silver, gold, platinum. I think it's important doing that. Makes it sound more legit, makes it sound more important. So I'll say, look, you've got silver, gold, platinum. Silver might be this to this number, this to this number, this to this number. Which one's manageable for you monthly? And then they pick a plan, and that tells me right there, okay, so they can afford the gold or lower. And then I go from there.
I love that. So you're not saying, hey, what's comfortable and affordable for you?
Correct. Because they're always going to tell you the cheapest thing.
Always. You know what, bro? I'm gonna implement that today. I'm gonna give that a go. I like to try what other top producers are doing. You did a lot more than me this year, so I'm gonna try what you're doing. All right. All right. Now tell me a little bit about, all right. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. And let's go, why don't you role play with Sue, right? Real quick. And let's go ahead and go front to back on your script.
For sure.
All right, cool.
Do you want to go into like the application part? Just going straight into the application, how I'm
Well,
doing
I
it?
would say let's go from start and explaining the process, and then go down to where you say, all right, which plan would you like, and
Sure.
then go into the not going into the application, but go ahead and cut it at the end, right there.
Okay. Ring ring.
Hello?
Hey, is this Sue?
It is. Who's this?
Sue, this is Caleb. I'm the field underwriter. I'm actually calling about a loan that you have with Rocket Mortgage. How are you?
Oh, this is Rocket Mortgage?
No, this is Caleb. I'm a field underwriter. I'm just calling about the loan you have with Rocket. I'll make it real quick. I don't know if you remember this, but around a month or so ago, Sue, you received a mailer in your mailbox, and you filled it out, sent it right back into me. It was a while ago, so if you don't remember, that's fine. But it was about the mortgage protection. Do you remember if you ever got a policy packet in the mail for that?
Did I get a policy package? Not that I recall.
Okay, got it. Yeah, a lot of people don't remember that. Do you remember at least sending in the form? You put here your age is 42. Your loan's about 250,000.
Yeah.
You remember? Good, good. So my job, I'm the field underwriter. I'm just the one who's going to take care of the protection with you. Do you know what the mortgage protection is?
I not really. It'd probably be better if you just explained it.
Sure. Yeah, this is just a coverage that makes sure that if you pass away or have a medical condition, we're going to take care of your home. This is your liability coverage. There's three coverages that you should have. Your PMI and homeowners, that protects the bank. This is your liability coverage, protects you and your beneficiary. Who's going to be taking over the home when you pass? Who's your beneficiary?
My brother,
Your brother. Okay, what was his name?
Ed.
Ed. Okay, got it. So if you pass away, Ed's going to get the house, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you pass, we're going to make sure he gets the house, and then this check for the 250,000. You want me to send it straight to Ed? He's going to get 100% of it.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So if you pass, he's going to get the house and then the check to pay off the house. Sounds good. So obviously he's your beneficiary listed here. So like I said, the mortgage protection just make sure that you're not liable for any payments if you have a major medical condition. And if you pass away, we're going to make sure Ed doesn't have to take care of your final expenses, because that would suck. So obviously I know you said you're 42. Do you have any major medical conditions, Sue?
No, thank God.
Okay, good, good. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people in the area, believe me, they're very sick. A lot of people I've talked to at your age, heart attack, stroke. So you're blessed. That's awesome. This is a very simple process too. It's just like auto insurance. So you know how they put together your car insurance, your renters, pet insurance. We're going to do all of that here with you. Do you know if you have any life insurance that's a private policy that you currently pay on?
That I pay on? No.
Okay. Are they through work?
Yes.
Got it. So we won't even really go into those. I'm sure you already know, and they told you at the beginning that these are usually based upon a condition. So more than likely, you don't really have great policies with them, which is fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to link in your life insurance with your mortgage protection. Okay. So if you pass, Ed's going to be taken care of. But more importantly, Sue, I mean, I don't know if you're going to pass in the next 5, 10 years. You're 42. You said you're healthy. You might got another 30, 40 years on you, which would be awesome. Obviously, we don't know. Only God knows. But with that being said, the medical is going to be important for you to have. Okay, so if you have a major medical condition, we're going to take care of you. So critical, chronic, terminal disability, anything happens that falls within the carrier's guidelines, we're going to make sure you get a check for 250,000. Okay.
Okay.
So going to take me about 5 minutes. We're going to get this taken care of for you real quick. I've got a silver, a gold, and a platinum plan. Each one of these plan covers more. Okay, I'll tell you what most people tend to go with. Our goal is to save you money, not cost you more, but this is going to cost you a lot if you don't have it. So your silver plan, Sue, is going to range you from 1 to 150 a month. Gold's going to be around 150 to 200 a month, and then your platinum, that's going to cover the most. It's probably going to get you a few more bells and whistles that you don't have as of now. That one's going to range you from 200 to 300 a month. Most people go with gold. What plan would you say is going to be manageable for you month to month?
What was the goal again?
Gold's going to put you around the 150 to 200. That should cover a good portion of the loan.
Yeah, I can swing at least 150.
Okay. So I know you said you could swing it, but I need you to be positive, because I don't want you to have to take food off the table. This is not something that I need to be getting a call about in a year that you can't handle. It's going to be more of a hassle to get rid of than to set up. So is the 150, you're positive that you can take care of it, or do you want to go a little lower?
No, 150.
150. Okay, good. And then that's literally what I'm doing, going right into the application at that point. My goal, I'll ask them if they say they don't have any major medical conditions, I'm trusting them. And then I'm going to go into the application just because I don't want to talk too much about the medical until I'm actually doing it. I don't want to scare them off because they don't, most people are like, oh, I don't want to give you my personal info.
That's wicked quick.
Yeah, very quick. I don't
Bro.
like
No wonder you could go through like 400 or 500 leads in a week. That's amazing. There are some nuggets in here I want to point out. And I'm trying to write as quick as you're talking. And I'm still writing my second point. Hopefully I can remember it. I'm old. I forget things. You said we're going to link in your life protection with your mortgage protection.
correct.
So basically, you're going, that's in an effort, if they have life insurance that they're paying for, right? We're going to condense those policies into one.
Yes.
There you go. I hope everybody caught that, right? I love that. And then you said this is going to save you money, not cost you more. I hope I'm saying this right. But if you don't have it, it's going to cost you a lot.
Yeah.
Dude, that was money. And then I love the, you have to understand your product. So a little preparation is key, right? Your silver gold. So you're looking at the policy. You're saying, all right, this person is 65, right? And you're probably going, say, I don't know, maybe up to a $15,000 policy, 30, whatever it is, and you're kind of breaking that down prior to spitting out the silver, gold, and platinum price ranges. Are you doing that?
Correct. Yeah.
There you go.
The more info after they're 60 or older, the more info you get, the easier it is to figure out. For me, I can read people over the phone, so I can tell if they can handle it. I know it sounds weird, but I can tell if they can handle 150, $200 within like a minute.
I got you. I understand. Yeah, that's key. To be able to read your client. That's so important, right? Now, when are you providing your credentials? Are you doing that once you go into the application?
Being completely realistic with you, I usually don't send my ID, or I'll send my ID if they're super, super like, oh, I need, to have it. But my license, I send it at the end of every one. I very rarely have people tell me, oh, I want to verify who you are first. The important thing, guys, is you're supposed to make it sound legit. I mean, we have actual jobs. I mean,
yeah,
I'm a medical field writer. So my goal is to make sure they trust me at the very beginning. And I'll say this because it's important. Not every call goes that quick. Most of them do. But it's also based off the client. If the client wants to talk to me, I'm going to talk to them for 10 minutes before we go into it. I want to build that relationship with them. So if I don't build it within the intro, I'm building with them within the application. We're talking about their grandson, the soccer games they go to, because you've got to find something in common with that client. Your tone's got to change. The way you speak to them's got to change, but you've got to find something in common with them. So I think it's really important to read your client and figure out at the beginning, is this going to be a transactional call, or are we going to build a relationship during the call?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I want to stress this because it's on my mind right now, because I love what you're doing, dude. And you've been on calls before, and where other agents have, we've heard your process, right? I actually missed your call before and I was upset. But I sold, a protected client, so I wasn't too upset. But if you have something that's working, keep doing what's working. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. Caleb has got a lot of great stuff going on. And I look at my process. My process works for me, but there's always ways that we can go ahead and hone it in and try and, time is our most valuable commodity. And to be perfectly honest with you, my 5-step process is kind of lengthy. Right. And so when I look at that and I'm trying to say, all right, where can I shave some time down? You got a lot of good things in your process, right? And I'm going to go ahead and implement these and try and get my process down so I can go ahead and try and achieve some numbers that you're doing. So, but I do want to make sure that everybody's aware that, hey, don't go trying to, reinvent the wheel overnight, right? Keep on doing what you're doing and implement some of the things that Caleb was doing. I love it, dude. You're wicked quick. How is your persistency?
Pretty good. I mean, obviously every carrier differs. Americo, just so you guys all know, Americo at the beginning, I was not good at keeping my policies. Like I could close them, but at the beginning it was like, and I look back now because I'm coming into year 3, the policies I did at the beginning, it's like, man, it sucks because it affects your persistency. And it was like, at least we improve. So other than Americo, I'm at a 98%. With Americo, it goes down a little bit. But overall, I'm around a 90% persistency.
Bro, that's solid. That is solid. That's something else to strive for. Now, are you doing anything post sale? Are you sending emails to your clients? Are you sending thank you cards? What are you doing post sale to keep that business on the books?
No, I'm putting fear in their head. I'm telling you guys, I did not like to do this at the beginning, but my persistency dramatically went up. So right at the end, I'm saying, look, other than protecting yourself and your beneficiary, this is the most important thing. And you need to write this down. And I was literally like, my goal, I'm going to make it super intense. I'm going to make them wait. I'm going to say, look, Sue, we just took care of this. You don't ever have to do this again. Okay. Unless I'm fired or I pass away, which you will be informed if I die before you. And I'll always joke about it or something, I'll say, look, if I die before you, you'll be informed. But until the day you die, I'm the one who you deal with. I don't think I'll be leaving this job anytime soon. If I do, you're going to be passed off to someone I trust. So with that being said, I'm the only medical field underwriter you're to talk to. If somebody else calls you and they don't have the security code, that's associated with me, with your policy, with your personal information. Identity theft is huge. Okay. Last thing we want is for someone to call you and they get all of your information and then they steal your identity. Happens to people all the time. It's a huge hassle. Last thing you want is people taking money from your bank account because we're going to have to set up your policy again. And that's going to suck for both of us. So if somebody calls you, ask them, do you have a security code? If they don't have it, hang up immediately, block the number and call me.
I love that.
All the time. Hey, Caleb, I just got a call. Bro, they don't work in our office. Block that number. Block it. And then we're good. So
that's great.
That is,
I love that.
Hey, Ritter, like today, we're doing that today.
Yeah, I like that.
If you didn't take anything else from the call, take that.
Yeah, like you say, that's pretty intense.
Going to keep more money in your bank account.
I'm telling you, you will get a lot more calls than you want. Like I have this one lady, Gloria, she calls me every week. But it's like, you'd rather get that call every week for 30 seconds telling me that somebody just called her. So it's nice. It works. And then they could look up, it's just my NPN. I give them my NPN number. So they look it up. They're going to find my information. So it's very important. And then here's the thing too that I'll state, because there are agents, let's be realistic. There's good agents and bad agents. I still have every now and then some bad agents who will replace my business just because they want to make money, which is horrible because I always get the best thing for the client. So when you give them your NPN number and the agent looks it up, they know exactly who set it up for them. And there are people who will call me, hey, bro, I just ran across your client. So I think it's important, very important to make sure that they don't.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Which products, what are you're providing what's best for the client? So what are your main carriers and products that you're providing for the mortgage protection?
Sure. I'm doing now a little more F&G than I was before.
Mm-hmm.
IULs, I don't know if it's my luck with it, but Mutual, they just don't like to approve a lot of people with the IULs. I do a ton of Family Freedom term, ton of New Vista, like 90% of the time. I used to do a ton of Americo and a ton of these other carriers, but people would replace it because you can get cheaper. So I'm doing a ton of Prosperity, and nobody does Prosperity. I've had one chargeback ever with Prosperity. I'm telling you, you can't touch it. It's a great, great product.
Yeah, I've let our agents know that Prosperity is straight legit. If you want to keep more business on the books, go, at least offer that. Explain the difference between Americo and Prosperity, or just go straight Prosperity, because there are some benefits with Americo where you have higher living benefit percentage, because Prosperity Family Freedom term is a straight 25% for either critical or chronic, right?
Correct.
But
and that's why, like you said, it's important. Yeah. And that's why it's important to explain it to the client. I mean, I'm going to be realistic with you guys if you don't mind. I mean, when I tell you I wrote a lot of Americo, like 300 families last year, Americo. The beginning of this year, I think it was like 400 with Americo. But when I called my clients who canceled, the one thing they said, oh, I'm with Prosperity now. I'm with Prosperity now. I was like, man, this sucks. Like, I can't do better. So I was like, I'm just going to write Prosperity.
Yeah,
and I thought that the bonus structure, guys, is, I don't know if you all know the new bonus structure, but it's huge. So
yeah, well, their bonus structure is it's escalating, right?
Yeah.
Number one, and they pay 4 times a year.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's awesome. The majority of carriers are going to that bonus structure, right? Just like a lot of companies now are going to you got Ethos doing a simplified issue IUL.
Yeah.
Right. So, there's trends in the industry, and you, Caleb, you always want to be a trendsetter, right? There's always going to be that one company like Family First Life that's setting the trend. Right. So, dude, you unpacked a lot of things today, brought incredible value to the team. I want to be respectful of your time. And let's go ahead and open this up, the floor to some questions real quick.
There's 2 in the chat, Shannon. One from one from Leanne, I think. About
go ahead and read that if you would.
I think she's asking, is your approach different if I were to say that my health wasn't so good?
See here. So I'm a very visual guy. It's easier if I read it.
What do you do when someone tells you their health is not great?
Not great. I just take it the same way. Because here's the thing. If you start being doubtful when they're telling you that their health sucks, they're going to be like, yeah, everyone denies me. No one wants to protect me. I have people all the time. I protect a lot of people who say, yeah, I've talked to 10 people. They all deny me. I don't want to deal with this again. I've been through it 50 times. The moment you start to lose confidence in your client and you're like, oh, you've had a heart attack? Oh, man. No, I want to make it sound like it's normal. It is normal. You know how many 50-year-olds have heart attacks in North Carolina? Believe me, I run a lot of North Carolina, and there's a ton of them. So when they tell me that their health's not good, I'm just like, look, that's understandable. Hope you, get better. Obviously, it's not a fun thing to go through, but we've got something that takes care of you as well. So thankfully, that's what my job is. I'm not a salesperson. I'm a field underwriter. So that means I work with all the top carriers. If I can't get you something, nobody can. So believe me, we're going to get you taken care of real quick here in 5 minutes or so. And then I just go right into the same process. Silver, gold, platinum. My goal is always to figure out the budget first. You figure out the budget, there's no reason that you should be losing that sale in the end or not protecting the family. You know what they can afford. Now you just have to get them the next best thing. I have a lot of people in mortgage protection who cannot get approved because they're 62 years old and they've had heart attacks. So I just go straight over to New Vista. I do a lot of what Mindy does, Mindy tips. So I'll say, look, I've got 3 different plans. I'm going to do the silver, gold, platinum. I'll say, look, there's no way we're going to cover the whole mortgage. You know that. Like, you've had a few heart attacks. You know that, Shannon. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we can cover as much as possible. We're going to throw in some accidental, little terminal illness rider. The nice thing about the accidental, it's going to double your coverage. So it sounds like a lot. Again, I'm being realistic. Number one condition for people under 65 who are healthy, it's accidents. So we want to make sure that obviously if something happens, you're covered. So we got 35,000. I can do 60,000 or 70,000. And I'm always adding it on. And whenever you explain it, and this is important because I run across this and it ticks me off. If you're going to get a client coverage and you're going to say, oh, I can get you 70,000 of whole life, make sure you tell them it's half accidental, half guaranteed. I have a lot of clients who'll go for it. One, because I tell them and they like it because it sounds like more, but they also understand that they're separate. But there's a lot of people who tell them, no, it's 70,000 whole life. Believe me, no, it ain't.
You got to be honest, with the client.
Yeah, it'll bite you in the butt.
Yeah. By the way, what does your schedule look like, dude?
It's different. I know it's very weird.
Well, you got a few things going on. You got a baby.
Yeah. When you're doing I do a lot of other things. So I volunteer at our Christian school. I teach some classes. So my schedule is super packed all the time. I don't work Sundays. Obviously, I'm in church all day. So usually my schedule is different. With one call closing, you can be very flexible, which is helpful. My wife doesn't have a license just because she's scared to drive. So that means I'm the one who's got to go to the store. I got to just, so I'm telling you, that's why it's important to pick up something like one call closes, because you don't know what's going to happen. My schedule usually ranges around 8 a.m. I don't dial till 10. Not saying don't do it. That's the golden hour for a lot of people. That's when I like to get my agency stuff done. So 8 to 10, I do a lot of agency work. Then 10 to 6, 10 to 7 is when I'm doing one call closing. I don't care as much about the time for me because I set a goal daily. Usually my goal is to protect 6 families. So I like to have 8 presentations, close 6 of them. I've got a high close rate if I get them on the phone, but I think the same thing we all have is we just can't get people to answer half the time. So hopefully doing some things that'll help improve that this year. But usually my schedule is like 10 to 7, 10 to 6 dialing. But if I hit my goal earlier, and you guys have heard me say this since the beginning, I will every single day be like, hey, Steph, we're going to do this. Like little things. Hey, we're going to go to Target. She loves Target. I love to go to Target. I love to buy stuff from Target. So it's like, I'll say, hey, we're going to go to Target tonight, or we're going to go to Disney, or we've got Disney an hour and a half away. So I'll just put a goal there. And I'll say, if I help 6 families today, we're going to go to Disney. And if I don't help 6 families, we ain't going to Disney. And it embarrasses me because I let her down. So that's why I think it's good to put up goals daily. Long-term goals help, but daily goals work as well. So that's usually how my day works, Monday to Saturday, dialing till I hit that goal, and then I finish up and spend time with them the rest of the day.
Got it. Got a question from Justice. He says in the chat, how do you deal with the I'm at work or the it's not a good time, call back later? How do you handle that?
Love that one. They've got to tell me right away. Otherwise, I don't believe them. I cannot stand when I'm on the phone with someone. And here's the thing. You've got to learn, guys, these people aren't going to track you down. So you can be transparent and blunt with them. I'm not a jerk, but I will be very outspoken on the phone. Very outspoken. I have clients who will be like after me talking for 5 minutes, yeah, bro, I'm actually in a meeting. Now's not a good time. I'll be like, Mark, you've been on the phone with me for 5 minutes. You're either lying to me or you're going to get fired because you should not be on the phone. And they're either going to hang up or they're going to be like, yeah, I mean, I'm allowed to be on my phone. And then I'll just keep going. So usually if I get those, I'm at work or it's not a good time to call back, usually I'll tell them, look, it's got to be within the first 10, 15 seconds for them to tell me, or I keep going. There's no reason they shouldn't tell me at the beginning. So
if they do, how are you handling that? Are you going to set an appointment or just call them back at another random time? What
time you off? Mm-hmm. 6, I say, okay, I'll call you at 7. And then I never call them at 7. I call them at 6:30 because they either one are remembering and they expect my call at 7, so they won't answer.
That's right.
But at 6:30, they're not going to expect it. So
are you going to try and call them from a burner number or block your number?
Every time.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, little things that you learn. All right. So do you have the same pace with older clients or do you slow it down? Have you ever lost someone because you were going too fast? I know exactly what you're going to say because you addressed this in conferences before. How about it? Yeah.
Shannon, you've heard me. I'm a very fast speaker naturally.
Yeah.
I like to get to the point. Like I'm telling you, fast to the point where people cannot understand me. All the time, my wife's like, what did you just say? And she'll make up a word and be like, that's what it sounded like what you said. And it annoyed me. And so that's what got me in the beginning. I was like, I got to slow down. So I think I would say I've slowed down a ton compared to how I used to speak. I've definitely lost clients because I spoke too fast in the beginning. Definitely did.
Yeah.
They'd be like, you're talking way too fast, and they'd hang up. And I was like,
You've learned to mirror your clients over the years.
Exactly. So what I do now, I've learned that you got to be like your client. You got to find something that's in common. There's a lot of clients that I cannot find something in common with at all. We're not one-way relatable at all. But the way that I can fix that is by speaking like them. If they've got a lower voice, like I've got guys who will answer the phone, what do you want? I'm going to be like, bro, this is Caleb. Don't talk to me like that. You don't even know who I am. Like I'm going to talk to them the same exact way they speak to me. And then I'm going to go, I'm a field underwriter. I'm calling you real quick. Like, I'm telling you, you are in control of the conversation until you aren't. So I'm going to match their tone. I'm going to match the way they're speaking. If they're talking fast, that tells me that they can probably understand fast. That's how I am. My mind moves a lot quicker. So like me and Joe always joke about this because we're the same way. The moment I think about it, it comes out my mouth. So my brain processes stuff very quickly, probably too quick. So I know that if you, like you just said, if you match the energy, it's important. So I will match the tone, the energy they're giving me. If they're older, I always speak very slow, very slow.
Yeah, that's smart, man. How important was it for you to go ahead and find your own style quickly rather than trying to emulate somebody else?
I mean, I think that's a good thing and a bad thing. When I first started, I didn't talk to anybody. And I'll be realistic with you guys. nobody believed that I was going to make it. Nobody. Not because I can't sell, because Joe saw me with other companies. But like I said, I was one of the first ones to go virtual. So I remember Joe was like, yeah, bro, I don't know if you should do this. I was like, bro, I'm going to do this. So I did not talk to a lot of people when I first started, just being honest. I think that was a mistake. It bit me in the butt because, for instance, I spent almost $200,000 on leads my first year. So my profit was very low. That's why this past year was like, look, this is a year of profitability. So I would say finding my own style was important. I was obviously jumping on trainings, listening to other people. It's important to take nuggets, but like, guys, I've got a decent sized team. Most of them don't work the way I work. A few of them do. My dad tries to, for instance. My dad tries to work the way I work, and I'm like, look, it doesn't work for you. You've got to find what system works for you. Don't talk like me. I've told my dad, I'll be like, Dad, you do not sound like that. Don't say that. That sounded really dumb. I'd be like, yeah. And it's certain things, guys, because it's got to come out naturally. You've got to be yourself. And that's what I learned. Nobody wants to speak to someone who's acting. You've got to be yourself. And believe me, if you looked into it, Shannon, I used to act when I was younger. So at the beginning, I was like, oh, I just have to portray myself as such and such person or this person. It does not work. You've got to be natural. Otherwise, they're not going to like you. And if they don't like you, they don't trust you.
Yeah. I love that, man. Caleb, you brought so much value to the team today. Thank you so much. We haven't really even had a chance to unpack, the agency side of things. So maybe we can kind of tackle that. But I do want to touch base on one thing. You just issued your team or submitted, 80 families protected for week 2 in January, right? You keep that up, man, you're on pace over 300K, 400K in no time, dude. And I know that you value your team and that you care about them. How accessible are you for your team? And are they, do you have like do you have one platform that you're using all the time, like Telegram or something like that for questions? How do you produce at a high level and make sure that you're still available for your team?
Sure. So some people like this, some people won't, I know. So we have 2-a-days, FFL 2-a-days. That was created, our goal, and that's where 320 as a whole will be in there every single day. Our goal is to recruit 2 people and close 2 policies a day. So that was how it started. We used to just have our Zoom room. So we stay primarily over Slack. And I'm always on 2-a-days, always. Even right now, I've got the screen open. So if someone has a question, obviously, guys, you are independent. You can do whatever you want. But when you're independent, you are independent. So if you take that freedom, that's where, like we talked about at the beginning, Shane, you've got to have boundaries. So if you take that independency and you decide, look, I'm not going to show up, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to answer your phone call. So I'm going to tell you this, culture is very important. You'd be shocked. I have hired and contracted over 200 agents, 150 agents last year. Most of them, I was like, look, you got to go. Culture is important. The moment that you start to bring drama, or you're not positive, or you're just simply setting a precedent that's not good for the team, I'm going to recommend you to go somewhere else. I don't care if you're doing 30, 40 families a month. I think it's important because that's gonna diminish your team very quickly. So for me, I'd say we have a very, very good culture. We might not be huge. My goal is not to build a team that's got 1,000, 2,000 agents and we're not issuing anything.
Right.
And that's why people always say, our average agent issues 20 families. So a month, which is huge for, financial services company. So I would say I'm super accessible. I'm always on Zoom. You have a question, but to the agents who don't show up, I'm not accessible. We've got a structure. You've got to show up this time. If you're not, you've got to text me. If you are, you can call me anytime. I'll answer. And I've got agents who call me at 2 a.m. because they're in Montana or California, and that's fine. So I'm accessible as long as you are.
That's awesome. I love it, man. So your quality over quantity of agents and having an impact on the agents' live, making sure that you're doing everything that you can to go ahead and help them achieve their financial success, right? And independence. I love it. As long as they're part of the team culture.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, Caleb, thank you so much, brother. I want to be respectful of your time. We're right at 10 o'clock. This is a first for us. We are now going to go ahead and close it out. But give us, 2 or 3 parting shots for agents that are just starting out in telesales, and to help them be successful from things that you wish you would have done when you first started.
Sure. I mean, for starters, we all know, I think this goes without saying, but we don't implement it as much. First few sales you make, don't go party. And I know we all hear, but I'm serious. Like, the reason I didn't hit Hall of Fame last year, I could have. I only worked 7 months out of the year. That's why I didn't. I decided, hey, I'm going to go take off this month. Here's the thing. I was like, look, I'm going to take, technically, I was like, I'm going to take off this week, and it turned into a month. That's what happens. You lose sight. So I'd say for starters, keep up the consistency. My wife will tell you, and at first she did not like this at all. But I was like, look, I'm a business owner. I'm independent, but I set a precedent. What I do, impacts my team and it impacts you. So if we're on vacation, I'm still working. Does not matter. I pick a certain 2 hours of the day and I will work in the morning before she wakes up, because it's important. The moment you start to lose that speed, you're going to come back a week later and you're going to be like, man, I don't know how to do my job. Like Christmas, a few weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to take off a day or two. I took off like 2 days and I came back and was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I feel like I've never done this before. And that part sucks, because it's the only obstacle to me. It's me getting in my own way. So I would say, make sure that for starters, you keep up the consistency of everything. Keep buying the leads, even if you take a break. Keep buying the leads, keep calling them, keep setting the appointments. The last thing I'll say, and this goes into everything, every single one of you, you're leaders, regardless if you just started or not. I mean, a leader means that you've usually got someone who's following you. I mean, I'll be realistic. Uriel's here. He's in 320. I watch Uriel all the time, and he doesn't even know it. Like, I've heard him on the phone. He's good. Why? Because I can learn something from him. And I've always kept this idea in my head. First run is that the shepherd's got to smell like the sheep, and you'll always hear me say it. I will not expect my team to do anything that I do not do. So make sure that you are consistently doing what you're supposed to do. And remember that people are watching you, regardless how big you think you are, regardless how big your team is, people are watching you. And if you want to grow, you've got to make sure you keep that ego small and keep the main thing the main thing. There
you go, man. Great advice. And you're an incredible leader, Caleb. You're an inspiration to everybody here at FFL. Not only Tri-State, but all of FFL. Thank you so much. And I say you're an incredible leader simply because in order to go ahead and lead anyone, you have to go ahead and learn how to lead yourself. And you have conquered that, young man. And I appreciate you so much. I can't wait to see you at convention.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Caleb.
All right, everybody drop a 10 if you think Caleb did a great job today. I'm sure we're going to have a ton of 10s across the board. There you go. Look at that, Caleb. You're awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Next week on Empower on the Empower Hour, we've got an incredible lineup. Keep an eye out for the promotion. Sue, who do we have up next week? Oh, that's Mr. Yannick, right? Mr. Yannick is on.
Right, I was muted.
So Yannick is going to be on next week, and he's going to be dropping incredible value on how to get started in Index Universal Life. I cannot wait to unpack that, Yannick. Really looking forward to that. So make sure you're on next week. Be on early, be on time, right? That's what on time is, early. All right, guys, go crush it today. Have a great day.